Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today we are tackling an absolute monster of a topic. We're going to untangle one of the oldest, most complex philosophical knots in human history, the relationship between a creator's absolute knowledge and our own free will. To do this, we'll be breaking down how the Islamic concept of destiny resolves this paradox, using some incredibly insightful source material to completely shift our perspective.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the free will paradox. Second, 3 types of destiny. Third, the realm of choice. Fourth, voluntary versus involuntary actions. And finally, the glass-breaking analogy.
Section 1. The free will paradox. Are we just biological robots?
Okay, I want you to actively think about this for a second. If the ultimate creator has absolute, infinite knowledge of your future, meaning he literally knows exactly what you are going to do tomorrow at 3 p.m., how can any decision you make truly be your own? If you can't act against that ultimate knowledge without invalidating it, isn't your so-called choice just an illusion?
It's a trap so many of us fall into. On one hand, you've got the classic fatalist view saying we're just puppets, acting out a pre-written script. On the other hand, biological determinists say, hey, you're just a biological robot blindly following the code of your DNA and your brain chemistry. They argue that your brain makes the choice milliseconds before you're even consciously aware of it. Both of these views basically strip you of your freedom and conclude you're just following a script. But the Islamic paradigm we're exploring today offers a profoundly different and honestly way more empowering framework.
Section 2. 3 types of destiny. Deconstructing the monolith.
Here's the real game changer. Destiny isn't just one giant, unmoving block. It actually operates more like a system of concentric circles, broken down into 3 distinct categories. When people get tied up in knots about free will, it's almost always because they are clumping these 3 totally different layers into one single bucket. So let's pull them apart.
First up is absolute destiny, or Mutlaq. Think of this as the unchangeable framework of existence. You don't choose when you're born, right? And you don't choose when you pass away. This absolute realm is completely outside of human influence. It includes the grand physical laws of the universe, like the orbit of the sun. And because you have absolutely zero choice here, you have zero accountability.
Then we move a layer deeper to conditional destiny, or Mubram. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. The sources point out that this layer actually contains variables. Your sincere actions, like giving a small charity or making an earnest prayer, those actually possess the power to shape outcomes and maybe even deflect hardships. It's a dynamic layer of destiny that responds directly to your spiritual inputs.
And that brings us to the core, suspended destiny, or Mu'allaq. This is the highly dynamic, constantly shifting inner circle of your life. This entire realm is governed by the choices you make every single day. This is exactly the space where you face your tests, where you make your moral decisions, and where your active life truly happens.
Section 3. The realm of choice. Navigating the waters. So, that inner circle we just talked about, that represents your partial will, or juz'i iradah. This is your specific arena. It's the space where the Creator has explicitly left the choice of obeying or disobeying entirely up to you. Imagine you're presented with 100 different doors, 100 different paths. The ultimate outcome entirely depends on which handle you decide to turn. Think of it like being a ship's captain. You didn't create the ocean, you didn't build the ship, and you definitely didn't create the massive biological engine driving you forward. That power was simply given to you. But you are absolutely the one holding the steering wheel, what the texts call your inclination. If you steer that ship straight into the rocks, well, you can't really blame the engine for pushing you there. You chose the direction.
Section 4. Voluntary versus involuntary actions. Drawing the line.
To truly grasp divine justice, we absolutely have to divide our human experience into 2 distinct buckets. There are the things that happen to us involuntarily, called iradah, and then there are the things we choose to do voluntarily, known as ikhtiyari. Figuring out this boundary is the secret. Look at it this way. You are completely off the hook for involuntary physical states. Nobody is judging you for your heartbeat. You aren't accountable for feeling the sudden pangs of hunger or experiencing a passing emotion. But, and this is crucial, you hold 100% of the responsibility for how you voluntarily satisfy that hunger. Do you earn an honest living, or do you steal? The feeling itself is involuntary. The action you take to resolve it is entirely your own.
Section 5. The glass-breaking analogy, where divine and human wills meet.
Let's bring this all into perfect focus with a famous analogy from Hajar Ali that beautifully separates human choice from divine creation. Imagine you decide to hit a window with a rock. Phase 1 is your intention. You voluntarily choose to pick up the rock, swing your arm, and strike the glass. Phase 2 is the actual creation of the event. The physical reality of the glass shattering, those molecular bonds actually breaking, that is a universal physical law created and executed by God.
Because think about it, when you swing your arm, you don't actually know the physical outcome. The glass might shatter into a million pieces, it might just crack, or the rock might literally just bounce right off. The creation of that outcome belongs to the Creator. You are accountable not because you have some divine power to alter molecular structures, but because you chose the forbidden action of swinging your arm. Your judgment is based purely on crossing a moral boundary with the free will you were granted.
I really want to leave you with this profound thought to close out our explainer. You are not judged by the involuntary storms you weather, or the chemical urges of your biology, or even the unchangeable absolute destiny of your birth. You are judged entirely by how you choose to steer your ship through those waters. So the ultimate question isn't whether God knows what you'll do tomorrow at 3 p.m. The real question is, when 3 p.m. finally arrives, will you steer your ship toward wisdom or right into the rocks?